Yeah, talk about your advanced learning songs. This song kicked my butt. It took me 19 hours over 10 days, I can see in Musento, and I can see I practiced it 24 different times. And when I was taking a break from this one, I was able to learn another song of theirs, Creep. And that'll be coming up in just a couple of days. That took me like a quarter of the time to compared to this one. So yeah, this one song was a real challenge for me. But seeing all the times that I practiced there, it kind of reminds me of something. And I think it's a good point to bring up, is that when you're practicing, you're going to find that you're going to reach a point where your brain just kind of says, nope, no more. And you start kind of making silly mistakes, and your mind starts wandering, and you start noodling, and you just kind of lose that focus. For me, that's, usually about 20 minutes to an hour. I think when you're just beginning, it's probably a little less than that. And I've tried plowing through, to try to keep working through that, and it really doesn't work. I don't think the information is sticking, and what can actually end up happening is that you start practicing your mistakes, and then you've got a whole other issue that you have to deal with. So over the years, I've learned to recognize that and just stop and move on to something else, or even just take a break and come back to it. And I can see that's what I would do. I would practice the song 2-3 different times in a day for up to an hour and 15 minutes or something, and even as little as 30 minutes. So it also brings me up to another point that I think is worth mentioning, is it's really important to have a goal when you are practicing. Otherwise you're gonna, and I've been guilty of this too, you're just gonna pick it up and you're just gonna start noodling away, which is fun. It's a lot of fun, but you can't very well do that all the time, and then 5-10 years down the road wonder why you're still not very good, and you're just kind of picking up little bits and pieces from here and there, but you don't really know what you're doing, and it's just kind of a collection of things that you found online and stumbled across on your own. So I've found when I started actually having goals and keeping track of what I'm practicing, that's when you really start to see some progress. And when you go to music school, that's one of the things they tell you, is to keep a journal, keep a log of what you're practicing. And it really helps, and that's kind of why Musento came to be too. Not only in Musento can you keep track of all your PDFs and video and audio files, but you can also keep track of what you're practicing and set goals. So even if you don't want to use Musento, I would urge you, get a little book and just keep track of what you're practicing and set little goals, and then there you go. You have things to practice, and that's what you work on. So yeah, this song, it was tough. I think the obvious thing is that it's really fast. It's 140 beats per minute, and these rhythms are pretty difficult rhythms, especially at that tempo. It's just you really got to be paying attention and really focused, because it just goes by so fast, and it's really easy to mess up. And Sam Wilkes, yeah, such a young guy. I don't even know if he's 30 years old yet, but boy, is he ever good. He can really play. I really like his style. I think he's a fine player, so I think he's got a really bright future ahead of him. And I'll be listening and watching, that's for sure. Some parts I'd like to point out that I think is really well done. You got the main lick there. He does it like 3 different times in the song, but it's the did it up, bid it up, bid it up. It's actually not that difficult, but it's just a cool lick. It's the standard, the walk up, but he's found a neat way to add a variation on that, which sounds really good. The solo section, I just want to the solo section, I love it's really good. Thing I found with that, there's some ghost notes in there, but don't, if it's messing you up, take the ghost notes out, and it'll sound really good. Yeah, don't forget that the ghost notes aren't always necessary, especially when you're just practicing and learning it. And in fact, it might be a good idea to take the ghost notes out there, just get the feel and the sound of what it is, and then add the ghost notes when you feel comfortable. part at measure 70 or 70 and 71. It's 2 bars. And I don't know about you, but it's always kind of scared me. The some of these players, they just can do this steady stream of 6 notes just for, it seems like forever. That's always really scared me, and it's something that I have to unfortunately I have to work pretty hard to be able to do. And I'm still not quite happy with what I've got. I still have to work a little bit harder on it. But some things that I think about in that is I try not to focus on every single 16th note. You might want to try to target the downbeats. In this one, I'm trying to target the B's when you're sliding over. It's pretty tricky. Look at. Those are 5s I've noticed, and I have to admit it's still not quite in my ear that I could just sing or play that, effortlessly with 0 mistakes every time. I still kind of have to work on that a little bit. Oh, there's another part too that I have to point out that I really like how he did this. He's got this. And it sets himself up really nicely to go into that da-ba-da-da. Okay, so what I'd like to do for you is I'm going to play it again, and I'm going to take it way down to 100 beats per minute. Remember, the original was 140, so I'm going to do it again at 100 beats per minute. But I'd like to point out too that when you're playing, when you eventually get it at 140, the way you play at 140 beats and 100 is pretty different. So remember, when you get to 140, you're not going to have time to hold those notes, and everything is really, really short. So I had to force myself to try to still play it the same way that I would at 140 beats per minute at 100 beats per minute. Okay, so thanks for watching. We'll see you at the end. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there you go, Sweet Child of Mine by Scary Pockets, and Sam Wilkes was the bass player on that track. And you can find this transcription at musento.com under Advanced Learning Songs. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out Musento, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.